Network, the Cincinnati Bengals weekly show is brought to you by Manscaped. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Use the promo code TGT20 to get 20% off and free shipping. I want to welcome in my co-host. I'm Mike Goodpaster, along here with Ty Robbins.
Hey, what's up, Bengal Nation? We're big week this week. Got the Steelers. Got to go out, take this big win on the road. Seems we haven't had a road win in a long time. So who knows? Maybe COVID will play have a big part in this. And Big Ben is sitting out, and some other players. We have a few players as well sitting out, but I don't know. Besides Fred Johnson and maybe Alexander, Marcus Hunt, or Megas Hunt, or however you say his name, sitting out. I'm excited, man. This is a big week. If we could take them down, boom! I feel a big roll, man. We can roll through 5 games, and they added that extra playoff game. Then that's what I'm talking about, Big Joe.
And of course, we've got former Cincinnati Bengal linebacker Joe Kelly, who I don't think is probably as pumped up as Ty right now. But how you doing, Joe?
Hey, it's a week, bye week, so we don't have anything to be pissed off about. They were coming off a huge win, man, against Houston, Tennessee, a couple weeks ago. So, it was a week for Bengal Nation to sit back and, be able to enjoy that huge victory. I think the bye came at a perfect time. To allow us to really sit back and really look at the first half of the season, and I kind of took a step back and looked at what transpired in the first 8 games, and ironically, when you look at it, man, it's 3 victories that we had. I'll be the first one to say that we haven't played a really tough schedule. You look at the other teams' records, and we had a pretty soft schedule up to this point. But if you honestly look at it, those are 3 victories that we had that we should have won. And when you look at that, you're looking at us, possibly being, there were 5 wins, and we would be looking and sitting, pretty good. That being said, it is what it is. Hey, we can always go back and say this and that, but reality sets in, and you understand we have 2 wins, and this is going to be the defining moment. We define a moment for this team this year, because after Pittsburgh, there are some very winnable games, and if we can actually go in there and steal this victory right here, I think that will be huge for Bengal Nation.
All right, and the Bengals, you get a little update. Tack McKinley, the Atlanta Falcons released him. The Cincinnati Bengals picked him up. What do you think of that addition to this team, Joe?
Well, it's going to help. He's a guy I've seen him in the past, and he's a guy that can make some plays. We're looking at, different situations happen. We look at Carlos Dunlap last week with Carlos at Seattle. He had, I think he had a sack. He had 3 tackles for a loss. So he made some plays, but he was in a situation that wasn't good for him, wasn't good for the team. So here with this guy, the same thing. He was in a situation in Atlanta. It wasn't good for him. And guess what? Losing. When you lose, these are the type of things that happen. You start to have finger pointing, and some guys become scapegoats. And I can't necessarily say he was a scapegoat. I've heard a lot of rumblings down there in Atlanta, but that happens when you lose. But I know that this guy can play some football, and based on what we have, based on the way they're utilizing Geno Atkins, I think right now he comes in and he's better than Covington and those guys that we have playing. That's no doubt in my mind. He's already better than those guys.
All right, Ty, when you look at this game, the Pittsburgh Steelers came off 2 huge wins, looked like maybe the best team in the AFC, hell, maybe the best team in the NFL. They beat the Titans, which doesn't seem to be as big a deal since the Bengals did now, but they also got a big win against the Ravens. And then last week against the Dallas Cowboys, it took them to the last play of the game. They were behind most of the game. And the concerning thing, if you're a Pittsburgh Steeler fan or a Pittsburgh Steeler coach for that matter, is the fact that they weren't able to run the ball at all against Dallas.
Yeah, I was really surprised watching that game. I got a chance to watch a lot of that game. And anybody that was a betting man would say, hey, they're going to blow the Cowboys out. But the Cowboys came out. Their defense was pretty solid. They had those guys frustrated. Then at one point, right before halftime, Big Ben hurts his knee, and he's kind of hobbling around. Throws a touchdown, though, however, before he leaves. But he still has a solid offense. That Claypool, he's a tough guy, man. He can make some catches for a rookie. And so I think we got to stay on him early. We got to put pressure. It'd be nice to have, Hubbard back. He's supposed to be back this week. And so I think putting him in the lineup, Daniels will be in there, try to stop the run a little bit. And, we'll see if Big Ben's in or, if he's out. I think that'll help us out a lot if we can, if he sets this one out.
Yeah, because then Mason Rudolph's the quarterback.
That's
the only thing that bad is having Landry Jones. Now, Joe, when we look at the Steelers, I think it's safe to say that the Steelers, even with Devin Bush out, may be the best defense in football, and they're definitely the best pass defense in football.
Oh, no doubt. I think here that's how they can have a subpar performance by their offense last week in Dallas. And these guys make plays. They make plays up front. They make plays linebackers and with their safeties and corners. These guys make plays. They make plays throughout the game. They get off the field on third downs. They stop. Third and short. So these guys, they create turnovers. They're flying around. Arguably, I would agree. I think they are the best defense in the league, and the whatever potion. I don't know what the hell they're using because they have their guys. If you look at it, there's a turnover. They come out and those linebackers play great. They always give the Bengals hell, and 4 years later, when one of those guys are up for a contract, they get rid of them and they bring new players in, and they don't miss a beat. So that defensive formula that they have down in Pittsburgh, man, it's something else. You gotta give kudos to the coaching staff and organization, how they continuously bring players in. And they fit right into that system, man. And they Pittsburgh, Steel City, and they wear that on their shoulder, man. They wear that on their chest. That whole moniker, Steel Curtain, all that stuff, man. They come in and they play with a swag. They play with reckless abandon. They fly around. They have fun. And it's gonna be an issue. It's gonna be an issue for our offense, and we definitely gonna need the offensive line to play as well as they played last week. And not even as well as they played against Tennessee. They're gonna have to play better because Pittsburgh is gonna come. They're gonna come at them. The bad thing about Pittsburgh, they can get to the quarterback with their front four. And then when they start getting the linebackers and the safeties involved in blitzing, they become they play on another level. So it's going to be a task for our offense to be able to move the ball consistently on the Steelers.
Yeah, and I would think the key to that, Ty, is the offensive line. Any update on Bobby Hart, Jonah Williams, and Trey Hopkins?
Hopkins is back. Williams, I don't know if he's back yet or not, and Hart's going to be back. So I think Fred's the only one out. The good thing is, after not last week, but the week before, you have some options, right? So you have some options. Xavier's back, and so Finney hasn't been in yet. Spain played 2 weeks ago, so you have options. You don't. Your options are limited at tackle if Fred's out. Denigio could fill a spot. He did all right, but man, you're talking about the Steelers. But I do like they'll have the options that they can rotate some people around if somebody's not getting it done. And I think that Burrow's just now getting his feet wet. He's ready to go. He's now connecting with a lot of different receivers, not just one. And because of that Ravens game and seeing the different blitz packages that were put on him, I think he'll have a better feeling of how fast he needs to get the ball out and who he needs to get the ball to. So I think Burrow keeps us in this game. I'm hoping the defense steps up. I mean, they're going to have to. But as far as the offensive line, if nobody gets COVID, I think we're going to be better than we have in the past because we'll have options to rotate guys around.
Yeah, I think you look at Xavier, right guard, probably Spain at left guard. And then you just got to figure out the tackles, which are still an issue. It looks like we'll probably get Bobby Hart. When we look at the wide receiver position, Joe, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins have played really well. A.J. Green is slowly coming on. I think they got to find a way to get Auden Tate on the field, though, and get the ball thrown to him.
Oh, absolutely. I think we're going to have to. Our wide receivers are going to win the game for us. But when you say that, our wide receivers are going to make plays. Our guys, like I said, they are making plays. They are making tremendous catches. They are making that crucial catch on the crucial third down situations. But it's going to go back. It's going to go back to if this kid has time to throw the ball. I think we're going to have to do some quick stuff. I think we're going to have to do some screens. We're going to have to do something to slow down their pass rush. And I know a lot of guys are coming back. My thing is here, sometimes as a coach, you have to look at a situation and say, okay, here, look at what this patchwork of offensive linemen that we put together against Tennessee. Look what they did, and look at that film. And you have to study the film and look at the film, and it's not just about how well each one of them did. It's about the desire, the follow through, the making the extra block. You got to look at that because that was not happening until Tennessee. So I think, in my opinion, if they go back, if all those guys are back and they go right back, I think it's going to revert back to that. I think even though Johnson may be out, he played well in that Tennessee game. I like the guys. I like the tenacity that patchwork offensive line did, and we're gonna have to have some guys with some piss and vinegar. And I'm sorry, man. Bobby Hart, he doesn't have enough piss and vinegar in him to block anybody on Pittsburgh. So if he's going to be in there, man, it is what it is. Joe is going to be running around, and it's going to be a long day.
Bobby's all piss and no vinegar.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see the offensive line step it up because now there's competition. And I know as long as I've coached, competition is going to bring the best out of some people. If you want your job, you kill the competition, Ty, if you come back and you see that these guys kicked ass 2 weeks ago, and then you come back and you put those guys back in. Yep. So it's and based on some of the decisions that this coaching staff has done, I can see them putting those guys right back in. Oh, yeah. So you only have competition if those guys are able to stay in there, and let's see what they do this week. Let's see what they do against Pittsburgh. So if we go back and we see those guys back in the game, then there's no competition because
in today's and this year's football season, you can't have competition because you can't show it in practice. When I was playing here, Wednesdays and Thursdays, those wasn't live. You didn't have live tackling, but the front seven, we were going all out. So it was hard nosed. I'm trying to, you run an ISO, I'm going to try and break your face mask. So there's none of that. It's short, so you can't have that competition throughout the week. So it's going to be interesting just to see what mix if they keep a couple of those guys in. Trey Hopkins back, so obviously I think he's going to go back. I think we're stronger with Trey Hopkins. I can honestly just say that just with him. The other guys, I can't say that based off their play. So it's going to be interesting to see, what they do. And I'm sure Joe Burrows felt good about what those guys, how they played last 2 weeks ago. And him having time to go through his progression and make plays. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they come out and who's that starting five.
And I think the other thing you start to look at too is how are you going to use John Ross? Are you going to activate him? Are you going to put him do a reverse with him, or are you going to put him out and you're going to have him just go deep, or are you going to utilize his speed, or are you just writing him off? So I wonder if he's going to be activated and be part of the game plan now that you have him. If you're not going to trade him and you're not going to cut him, then you might as well use him some way. It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they, I think there's something their toe on that. I think he should have been moved, even if you got a late round pick. If you're not going to use him, if you're going to go and use him. So if you are using him now, and then you have T. Higgins playing the way he's playing, you have Tyler Boyd playing the way he's playing, you have AJ Green, the perennial All-Pro, the perennial #1 guy playing the way they've been playing. Then you have Alden Tate, So where do you put John Ross? I still think that here, like you said, even if he plays, 15, 16 plays, you can get in there and, to keep Pittsburgh honest. When you have a deep threat like that, you can't bring those safeties up like you want to and be able to assist against the run. We're gonna have to spread that field. Spread out because we can't. I don't think we can match them mano a mano. Not today, not tomorrow. I think they're a lot more physical team than we are. I think they're one of the most physical defenses in the league. So we're gonna have to stretch the field and take those safeties, make them play honest, and get those guys underneath. And when those guys start to try and bite on those underneath routes, boom, you have our deep threats, open. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do and if they can actually get John Ross into the mix.
Well, the other thing to me is on defensive line. You got Geno Atkins, who seems fully healthy, but still not getting that many snaps, Joe. So they've been saying they were kind of babying, bringing him along slowly. They just had a bye week. I think that right now we're going to find out is this more of them bringing him along slowly, or if he's just not part of the plans defensively, schematically.
And this is, and we're always going to have to remember that this team is still run by Mike Brown. So if this guy is healthy, we already know this guy is proven to be top 5 interior D-lineman in the league. But you haven't planned dead to you haven't planned the zero. You haven't planned right on over the center. He's playing limited plays, 12 plays, 13, 14 plays a game. So it's more read and react. When you put him in at a 3 technique, that guard, a lot of times, that guard is going to have to go one-on-one. He can beat him with a quick power move, or, quick rip, forcing the center back on him, or even forcing the tackle to come down. If that happens, then frees the defensive end up to go either one-on-one with the ace back or running back. So I don't know. here they dumped Carlos Dunlap's salary. The next big salary is Geno. They took on Mike Daniels' big salary. So I know from experience that it comes down to money, and I don't think here Leopard changes his spots. So you want to believe that Zach has control of this, and he's running the team his way. But if Marvin couldn't run the team like he wanted after 10, 11, 12, 13 years, still don't see how this guy's going to be making all decisions after coaching 2 years. I think Mike is still in control of it, and I think he's playing a part in discussion into some of the other. If that's not the case, none of this makes sense. It makes absolutely no sense for Geno Atkins to not be out there 75% of defensive plays.
And I'm not convinced totally that Geno's not fully healthy. I just don't believe that. I think that he's playing with one arm, and maybe that's why they put him in center. You haven't heard his name. You're talking about an all-pro player, and you really haven't heard much from him. And maybe they just want him to go in and try to fill a gap or something, because I really believe that he's injured, and I don't know the full story on that, but that's what I believe, because he's too good of a player when he's fully healthy, not to contribute more than what he's doing right now.
Yeah, but schematically, I think that's why you saw that Carlos Dunlap couldn't contribute. And if you watch Carlos Dunlap last week in his first game as a Seahawk, he had a sack and 5 or 6 tackles.
Yeah. He had a sack. He had 3 tackles for loss. He had he hit the quarterback, I think twice, and he had maybe 3 hurries, and that was in limited play. So it's no doubt that Carlos still can play at a high level. Back to what you were saying, Ty. If indeed that they're playing Geno in a limited capacity, first of all, you're not going to put him over nose guard. If he's hurt, if he's playing with one arm, you're not going to put him in the middle. Because you're going to get double teamed every play. Put him in a 3 technique, he has an opportunity to go one-on-one. You put him down in where they put him. That's why I'm saying there's no way they're trying to justify him playing over the center because if you're crumb right, dude, you're getting hit. You're getting double teamed. You're getting smacked. And it's just, center and that guard is going to step down on you. So, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, and we're going to find out. But I don't think we're a better team without Geno Atkins at the 3.
No, I don't. But maybe that's the reason they're doing it, to pull that double team, so that opens up somebody else that's healthy. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna account for Geno. So they're gonna double.
Wait a second, Ty. Do you think this coaching staff's that smart to think that?
I'm just telling you what I would do.
Hey, and here's a question. Mike Holbrook, I think he's talking about John Ross. Sorry, Mike, I got to this late.
Mike,
let him return punts if he can catch. Talking about John Ross. I've always wondered why. Did he not return punts at Washington?
He returned punts, man. He returned kickoffs.
And he was pretty damn good at it from what I remember.
Yeah, he like I said, this
better than Wilson.
Huh?
Well, I think
Wilson's pretty good.
I think his upside. I think
we're talking about punts.
Upside. Wilson.
Punts.
Wilson. I mean, he's made play for us. But when you're talking about upside, it's not a comparison. There's no comparison between Ross and Wilson. Ross can potentially take it to the house anytime he touches the ball. So you're not going to get that if you're running 1 punt return per season. If you're doing, catching a 1 punt per, every 6-7 games, that is a feeling. Returning punts, returning kickoff, that's a feeling. You have to play in the game. You got to get style of play. You got to get a feeling for, how they're coming, how your guys are blocking. So back to what Mike was asking, here you didn't trade him. So there's no reason that you can't, use them on reverses, use them going deep, use them on what is it going to hurt for him to go down there and return kickoffs, especially nowadays how it's all set up. Majority of the kickoffs are not returned. So guys are running down there. Honestly, some of them, you see some of the guys running and busting ass to get down there, but a lot of guys are nonchalant about it. And here he can get that ball, catch it, 3-4 yards deep in the end zone and take off. And if you give him a seam, a little seam, you give him a seam, that's lights out. Nobody's catching him. So what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose?
I agree with you, Joe. I think they should do some reverse, use his speed. They should send him deep. I don't agree on punt returns.
Why?
Because, first of all,
we don't have a punt returner. We've had an incompetent punt returner for years. I don't know how many times we got to watch Alex Erickson fair catch a punt.
Here's my point to that. This is why I don't think. First of all, I don't know if I trust him. Sometimes I think John Ross is kind of mental. So I don't know if he knows he's going to get hit, if he's going to drop the ball. Watch when he runs routes and he catches a ball. He'll slide. Like a lot of times he'll just slide down, instead of taking the hit. I don't know if he's mentally tough enough to do that. I could be wrong. I'm not coaching. I'm just saying he doesn't.
Yeah, with him, like I said, it's and I'm a little biased. But the fact is, it's you guys are seeing John Ross, the Cincinnati Bengals. I seen John Ross, playing for Snoop Dogg. I seen John Ross, Long Beach Poly.
I forgot he's Washington, baby. I forgot.
So I never seen this kid afraid to catch the ball. I've seen him get his ass hit going across the middle. I've seen him make tough catches. So, here, like I said, the NFL, it's just not about all talent because everybody's talented at this level. And then you get in a situation, and I don't know, the coaching staff is taking your confidence away. Hell, the first time he came in and he ran the wrong route for Marvin, and Marvin took him out. So the thing is, not that I think he's afraid, but now it's here. I don't think he's as mentally strong to understand and to accept all the negative connotations that come with here. You're being your first round pick, and now you're not playing. Your first round pick, dude, and you're not even the third wide receiver. So you're hearing that. So are you mentally tough to drown out the noise? Get out there, man, and play some damn football. Catch the ball like you can catch. Run a 9 route, catch the damn ball. So it's here. His game is here. I don't think he's afraid. I think the coaching staff is in his head, and he's not strong enough to listen. And at the end of the day, that separates the guys who played 10 years and the guys who play one contract. So,
I agree. I agree with you in the fact that when he's on, he's on. When you watch that Seattle game, man, he was lights out, last year. But then if he misses or he drops a ball, then he kind of just shuts down. But I would say if you're not going to trade him, you're not going to cut him, and you're not going to get rid of him, then you need to use him in some capacity, especially in a game like this where you can stretch the field or you can do reverses. They're doing reverses with Higgins, and I'm afraid he's going to get hurt. You know what I mean? So
I don't think Higgins is a big, a reverse kind of guy.
They've been using him like.
Hey, put it like this: it's the NFL, and unless we can run a reverse against ourselves, they usually don't work anyway.
Yeah. So, and you look at, Kansas City when they're running that reverse, they're running with the guy that's running 4-3. So you see teams that utilize those kind of plays on offense. You have a quick guy, scat back kind of player. T. Higgins is not a scat back. He's had putting together an awesome rookie season. I think with the combination of him, Boyd, and AJ, he can continue to finish strong in his rookie season. But like I said, now you want to try and get Alden Tate or John Ross. And I say hail John Ross because the guy has a great upside. And if John Ross plays, he knows he's playing for his career. His career with Bengals is over. But here, if he gets out there and he has some good games, he's playing for a team next year, and I think he understands that. He understands that it's a 99.9% chance that his career with the Bengals it's over. So he's playing for his football life, and like he said he's still loving the game. It's just a situation. So if he does get an opportunity, I think this kid can shine. But that we can talk, because I think we're talking about the probably one of the strongest parts of our team, our wideouts. All of those guys are producing. They're playing, but it's unfortunately, it takes other pieces to the puzzle. And our offensive line is going to have to play better than they played last past game, and they played lights out. And you have to imagine the way we played against Tennessee, we have to be better than that if we want to move the ball. Because 31 points against Pittsburgh Steelers defense, that's going to be pretty hard to do. And if unfortunately, I don't wish the COVID on anybody, and Ben is in quarantine, and but if that works out for us, that can keep the scoring down, and we can be more effective against whatever quarterback they put out there. If Ben is not out there, and I think Joe is going to make some plays that can keep us into, if we're able to keep it to a low scoring game like it was last week when Pittsburgh played Dallas.
All right, Mike wants to know, because it's been up here for a while, and he must not have heard the start of the show, what our opinion of Tack McKinley is. I think, Ty, to me, it is a low risk, high possible reward.
I agree. We have to pressure on quarterbacks. I mean, when you look at that Cleveland game and there was no pressure on Baker, we have to come out these last 8 games and put pressure, and really the defense needs to really step it up, and maybe that'll be the person that motivates, and Hubbard comes back, and Lawson maybe will cause him to pick up his pace up, and I think Bell and Bates have been playing pretty well and fired up. I heard an interview with Bell talking about how he doesn't know as much about the rivalry, but people on the outside that have talked to him say this is a big game. And so this, he won't be able to play in this game because of COVID protocols, but for the Washington game and Giants and Dolphins and Cowboys that are all coming up, that's going to be a big factor, because those aren't all-star quarterbacks, and we're going to be able to get to them and fluster them and maybe get some interceptions out of them.
All right. So, Joe, have you ever been around Cincinnati during a Steelers week? Because I know you had the good decade back in the 80s where we used to own their ass.
Oh yeah, we own their asses back then, man. But it's it's Steeler week. I think this week more than anything, more than the Browns, more than the Ravens. We don't have the Oilers anymore. That would have been last week's Titans game. But this week is always this is a special week in Cincinnati because you have a few Steeler fans that live in Cincinnati, unfortunately, and it's a rivalry. It's always been a rivalry, even when Pittsburgh was dominating and going had their Super Bowl run in the 70s. There was a lot of times in most of those seasons they lost at least once to the Bengals. So it's the records. You throw the records. You throw the records out. They're undefeated, and I can guarantee you this. I can. If I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to go down to the wire. I don't think that it's going to be indicative of the fact that we only won 2 games and they won all of theirs. I think our guys can come out. I think this is like a playoff atmosphere. The fact that they're 8-0, you go into their home, and you want to dethrone the Steelers because they're the Steelers, but then you have that extra incentive because they're they're 8-0. And you think about them being 8-0, and if you can go into Pittsburgh and be the first team to put a blemish on their mark, and the fact that this is your hotly contested rival, it's special. So this is a week that, not that you don't study the same way, not that you don't practice the same way, but I guarantee you guys are looking at a little harder in the study room. They may study a little longer. They may stay on that treadmill a little longer. They may not. That's probably one less whiskey and one less beer they might take throughout the week. That night might get a little more rest. And these are the things. These are the things that, I'm telling you because I lived it. These are the things. Okay, not that you didn't. If you took Drake's out the previous game, but it's a special week where it's human nature. It's a rivalry game. And you had those rivalry games all the way, in fact, from high school to college, and that game is always the biggest game of the year. And it's just fortunately in the NFL you have two times to play against your rival. So it's a special week. It's a special thing when you're walking through the halls downtown in Paul Brown Stadium. You're looking at everybody. Steeler week. I guarantee Steeler week. A lot Steeler week. It's all, it reverberates all around. You come in and people see you on the street. It's Steeler week. So guys weren't running around down. Last couple weeks ago and said, "Hey man, it's Titan week. It's Titan week." It wasn't happening. But it's Steeler week, and I think there's a little extra added incentive, man, to go down here and kick these guys' ass.
All right, Ty. The Bengals are 1-12 in the last 13 games against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can they make it 2-12 in the last 14 Sunday?
Yeah, they haven't won since 2015. Think about that. So I think that the Steelers took it down to the wire with the Titans. I think the Cowboys last week with not a very good defense and a third-string quarterback put them against the ropes. So I think the Bengals, if any, have the best chance really for an upset in this week. I really do. I think Burrow's going to come out and try to make a statement. I really believe that if we are going to do it, we have to get an early lead. We have to go out, like Joe says, punch them in the mouth, get that lead, get them thinking, get the momentum. I don't even know. Do they have everybody in their stadium? I don't even know if they have. I mean, that's
no.
So I mean, that's a plus right there. You know
what? Hey, Ty, I don't think they could have anybody in the stadium because they're at higher risk if they get COVID because they're all morbidly obese. I think this is going to be the week. If you're going to make a statement, you've gone into the bye week with a win. You know what you have to do with a solid team at that. Then you have the ability to beat a caliber team if everybody. I agree with Joe. Plays on. They do everything right. You got to do everything right. You got to hit your holes, your assignments, your gaps. You got to play as a team. You can't self-destruct. You have to learn how to finish games because it's going to come down to the wire. Even if Rudolph's in there, it's better than Big Ben, but I believe he's beat us before. So it's not like, oh, this guy's coming in. He can't get the job done. So we have to stay on him. We got to put pressure on him. We have to make him throw and we have to be creative with the calls. I really believe. And I think Joe is going to come out. He's going to get rid of that ball, or he's just going to, he's going to make those short passes because I think from 20 yards out, he's money, right? So he's going to read those blitzes for his most part. And I agree with Joe that we cannot let him get hit because these guys are serious. They will put you down. And if Finley comes in, we're in trouble then. So I think this is I'm calling it now an upset on the Steelers. I don't know how high scoring a game it'll be, but I am thinking we can upset them and then go on a run. That would be nice. All right, Big Ben is on COVID protocol, and now we're talking about going on runs, not just winning a game.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So this is, in my opinion, this is the season. This week right here is going to define our season. If we go in there and we get our ass kicked, I don't know, then it's the rest of those games are winnable games, but then we go in and lose to Miami, lose to one of those other teams, and we're back at 3-4 game win season. I think the fact, oh my God,
There's Becky. She's a
Yeah.
Steelers fan, and she
Yeah.
said she's not morbidly obese.
Yeah,
She's
oh
just
my
a little
God.
hefty.
Yeah. So it's fun. This thing, man, can catapult our season to into another direction. And despite how disappointing it is, you look at how disappointing the first half of the season was. Now we get rid of one of our stellar defensive players for the last 10 years. We get rid of him. Then we have another all-pro guy that we're underutilizing. AJ is just now coming on. But then you look at the bright spots. You look at Joe Burrows, who's playing arguably as well as any quarterback in the league. You look at here, we did without Joe Mixon. Arguably, Joe Mixon is top 10, if not higher, running backs in the league. You look at the weapons that we have, our wide receivers, and our offensive line, our patchwork offensive line did a hell of a job last week. We need somebody to step up on our defensive side and be the Joe Burrows of the defense. I'm hoping and thinking that it was Bell, that he gets up there and he's more forceful, probably more talkative, and be that verbal leader. I think Bates he's our silent leader. But we need a you need a Crumry in there that's in a defensive line that's kicking ass, and that was Geno Atkins, but he did it silently. So you need that. You need one of those linebackers, and I'm thinking, hey, 55 is he's making some plays, and it's hard for a rookie to come in and be a defensive leader. But he's coming, and he's leading by example. So they're going to have to put it all together. In the fact that it's going to be on the road, it's in Steeler Nation. You're going to walk in that stadium and you see all that putrid, sick yellow. It's all around the stadium. You see it. It's bright. It's loud, man. So this is it. If we go in there and we play like we had played in the first half of the season and don't play like we played against Tennessee, it could get real ugly real quick.
So who are you picking, Joe?
You know what, man? I'm putting it out on the line, man. I'm with Ty on this one, man. I feel good about it. I feel good about it because the fact that they're 8-0, I think they don't have as much motivation. They're not looking at us as, okay, here these guys, you guys won 2 games. They're not looking at us as a formidable challenge. Honestly, I can look back and see how comfortable you can get. I remember our Super Bowl season being undefeated and going up to New England, and not that we didn't practice well or take them in the light. We went up there and we got our asses kicked. And I see things like this that happen in professional sports. I see it could be a perfect storm for us. The fact that we beat Tennessee, they struggled, they should have lost. And then the fact that we see an awful Dallas Cowboy team with a third string wide receiver.
Quarterback.
Literally put him in a chance, in a position to win that game late. And there were some plays and some calls that could have changed some things earlier. So I see that. You look at that on film, and you don't go into this game thinking that we have to, it's impossible. We can see, hey, man, look what Dallas was doing to him, and Dallas sucks. So I think here the perfect storm is like right now. If Pittsburgh's going to lose, this is a perfect week for those guys to lose.
It's always a perfect week for those guys to lose.
Oh,
Yeah. I usually give you guys a hard time, but I think the Bengals win this game. I think they win
Oh,
this game just because of the fact they're 8-0. The two good teams they played them tight. The teams that aren't very good usually play them tight. I can tell you this, Ty, if you can go down and get 10 points in the Bengals in this game, I would do it. I like Joe Burrow to do just enough to get the win here. I think Bengals 24, Steelers 23.
yeah.
Oh,
It's close. I'm looking at it. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think their defense is too good for that. But I think here our wide receivers can be competitive, and we can hopefully hit them on some screens, some draws, and keep them on their heels and score enough. And then we're gonna have to get a couple turnovers. But I'm looking at the score right around that range. I'm looking score Bengals 24, Steelers 20.
All right. Joe, have the Washington Huskies played a game yet?
No, man. COVID, man. COVID. So, I think even this week's game is in jeopardy.
Who are they supposed to play this week?
I think it's Arizona. We were it's going to be Cal, and Cal literally would have to play without their entire offensive and defensive line. So it's
the Bengals have done that all year.
Here the SEC is on their 6-7 game. In Pac-10, man, we're I don't know, man. It's this thing is.
I like to bring up in the Big Ten, my Indiana Hoosiers are 3-0 and only 3 weeks from going to Ohio State, smacking the Buckeyes.
Wow!
That's not going to happen. But hey, everyone's going to have a dream.
I don't know how it's a dream. You're a Bengals fan. You can't really talk smack to anybody.
That's right, but I'm also a Buckeye and Cincinnati Bearcats fan.
Bearcats are not.
Bearcats
are not number 6 in the nation, Mike.
No, they're number 7.
They're number 7.
I don't know. What are they ranked?
I think they were 6. They're 6. I thought they were
6.
Why aren't they number? Why aren't they number 6?
They need to get into a different conference so they can play these.
Wait a second. The AAC is tougher than the Pac-12.
No.
How many teams? Wait a second. How many teams were in the AAC were ranked in the top 25 at the end of last season compared to the Pac-12?
And who did they play in bowl games?
Who did they play in bowl games?
Yeah,
I don't know who they played in exhibition games. Who did the Pac-12 play in bowl games?
I think we our thing was they put us in the Las Vegas Bowl.
Got him backpedaling, Mike.
Well, no. I said because of our coach retiring and him being a long-time Boise coach, I think they threw us into that game. And look what Boise State was 10-1, and we trounced them. It wasn't even a game.
Wait a second, because then if I would use Boise State as somebody to Bearcats you would beat, you would tell me, well, who's that?
I think Boise State could have beat the Bearcats.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Maybe Boise State in 2008 could have.
No, Boise State would have whooped the Bearcats last year. No doubt.
I know they would.
This year, I don't know.
The only team that UC lost to was Memphis twice, and Memphis was ranked like 12th or 13th in the country.
I don't think you think that's a good conference. Houston, SMU,
yeah, Temple, UCF, Memphis. They've all been good the last. I think it's better than the ACC does.
I think that's why they should expand the playoffs, and then you would be able to see for real.
Yeah,
instead
of,
you know what I mean.
It's going to be. This is a different season, but like I said, if they are able to expand that and.
All right, Joe. Just so you know, so don't forget, both conferences were 4-3 in bowl games last year.
Okay, all right. It's a down year, but they'll never. Pac-12 will be back in this thing. We have too many good athletes on the West Coast.
Yeah, but you have very few good coaches.
Yeah, well, we'll kick just like we kicked Mike Leach out, and we gave him to wherever he went. We got him out of, get some. We need some tougher guys in there.
Mike Leach does win games, though.
Yeah. I don't know how well he's going to do down there.
I think Mike Leach will turn them around with that offense, but I think with his offense, his lack of paying attention to defense
Yes.
will always be the thing that kicks his ass. So he will get them to a certain level, like he did Texas Tech, like he did Washington State. But when it comes down to it, they're probably always going to come up a little bit short.
Yeah, they're always going to come up short. They're going to coog it, like we say at the Huskies. Washington State, they're going to coog it.
All right, last year, who was the top-ranked Pac-12 team?
Last year,
Utah.
Yeah, it was Utah. Yeah,
So Utah was the top-ranked team at 16. Memphis was ranked 15th. So the AAC was obviously better. No, but if you carry that on, the only team ranked in the top 25 from the Pac-12 last year was Utah. And the AAC had Memphis, Navy, Cincinnati, UCF.
Well, we're going to agree to disagree, Mike. I don't.
How can we disagree on the numbers? The top 25, there was
numbers,
4,
I mean, you
4-1.
I mean, it's biased. East Coast guys. All Pac-12 games come on at 11 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock at night. People don't get to see it, but there's no way you put UC in the Pac-12 and these guys are dominant. That's not going to happen.
Joe. Last year,
they're not athletic enough for. They're not.
UC's not
Come on,
athletic
Joe.
enough. Joe, this ain't
Come on,
UC
Joe.
5 years ago. Dude,
Come on, Joe.
Come on. Wait a second. If they've got all the great athletes, why was their best team ranked 17th last year?
They're not going to come and dominate the Pac-12. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. This is their best year. This is
playoffs. Let's have the playoffs.
When's the last time there was a really good team in the Pac-12?
I mean, we've had really good teams. We've been in the playoffs.
And what happened in the playoffs?
Well, hell, we're in the playoffs. I mean, shit, there's only one winner.
Hey, you know what? Hey, but this is the thing. My point is this: UCF had back-to-back undefeated seasons, and they let them in a big bowl game against Auburn. Wouldn't let them in the Final Four, and they whipped Auburn's ass.
Yeah, they did.
So
they did.
The thing is this: you talk about
Washington lost to Alabama by a touchdown.
But let me give you this. Washington lost by more than a touchdown to Alabama because I remember being wrong in that game.
Touchdown, 2 plays.
Okay. I thought it was like 31-17.
No, it was not. Absolutely
Hold on. What
not.
year was that? We're going to look that up.
Look that up.
That game pissed me off because I actually thought your Huskies were going to win too. I don't even. Was it 2016?
We bet early and they came. They had 2 plays. They had a interception at halftime, right before halftime with 50 seconds to go. And then they had a 3rd and 13, and he went for 60. And those are the 2 plays. I don't know.
Well,
I know it wasn't 31-17. I know that.
The thing I remember about that was, the difference in the 2 teams was the toughness.
Alabama. They had some kick-ass players.
Yeah, they could.
That's why they won. They won the national title.
Did they win it or Clemson beat them that year? Because Clemson usually beats them anymore.
No, Alabama won it that year.
All right.
Yeah.
And also, you talk about West Coast or East Coast bias. What kind of bias do you think exists against the AAC compared to the Pac-12, though?
That you're talking about the AAC. When you look at I think I can say probably if you want to argue right now, the way it is that they're ranked better. I think last year or maybe last year they had that, but you look at all the years before that, there's no comparison. They had the 2 teams.
I'm looking in 2018. The highest ranked team was UCF, who finished the season ranked 7th. The closest to that in the Pac-12 was 12, and that season there was 4 teams ranked in the top 25 from the AAC. There was 2 from the Pac-12. As I go back here, the last time that the Pac-12 had more teams in the top 25 than the AAC was 2016, which is 4 years ago.
They still got to play somebody, not each other.
They have played other
They're
people.
playing each other.
No, they're not.
So that
not in the bowl games.
UCF
Not in the bowl games.
UCF beat Auburn. You know, other than that, give me another AAC team that beat.
Wait a second.
Formidable,
UCF had 4 top 25 wins that year.
I don't know who they beat, but but they beaten each other. They didn't beat the Auburn.
Wait a second. Wait a second, because Alabama plays nobody out of conference, Joe. Nobody at all.
Who'd they play in the bowl games? Because they a conference there.
I don't know. I'm trying to look at stuff up, Ty. If you got a question, look it up and then ask it.
I'll know. You seem to be on it, man. So
all I know is after UC's undefeated and still not allowed in the Final Four, you'll know what the bias is.
Yeah, if UC is undefeated this year in 2020, they still won't get in.
No, they won't. But you know why?
Okay, so tell me, do you think they should get in over an SEC team,
yes.
Notre Dame, Clemson?
Yes,
you know,
definitely.
Clemson lost last week.
Wait a second. I'm telling you this right now. If UC played Notre Dame, UC would beat them. I don't think Clemson right now is very good. The key to Clemson is a couple years ago, they weren't at this point either when they lost to Pitt, but they're very well coached and they got better. Yeah. I would take Luke Fickell as the head coach of my football team over Brian Kelly at any time. And if you look at the classes and the way they rank for next year, recruiting classes, UC's like 8 or 9 right now. Notre Dame's 16. So if you're going to tell me UC couldn't compete game in and game out in the SEC, I wouldn't buy that either. I still think they're a 9-3 team if they play in the SEC because the SEC is top heavy, Joe.
I think that they would lose to Alabama. I think they would lose to Florida. I think they would lose to Georgia.
But let me ask you this. If you've got Luke Fickell, who is a hell of a lot better coach than Kirby Smart, he's a better coach than Dan Mullins. If you put him in the SEC.
I don't know about Kirby Smart. He might be better than Dan Mullins.
He's a hell. Kirby Smart's passed away 2 national championships because he didn't have the balls to make a call on 4th and 1 twice.
Yeah, but he's a good coach.
But my point is this. If all of a sudden UC's in the SEC, that recruiting class that's number 9 probably is in the top 3 or 4.
I mean, the SEC speaks for itself. You know, if they, of course, the kids are going to want to go play for the SEC. That's why I think here this is Lucas at UC. I don't only think that you're going to be able to get to. I don't think you're going to be a formidable year after year. UC is going to be in the top 10. I don't think that will ever happen because
the
problem in a different conference.
The reason they couldn't before was because the Brian Kellys, the Butch Joneses, they got the hell out of here right away. I don't think Luke Fickell's getting the hell out of here. He's been offered a big job at Michigan State and turned it down. So unless even if Ohio State popped open, I don't know if he would take that because, you know, if he wins at UC consistently and wins a national championship, they'll put a trophy in for a monument to this dude. Stadium.
If he won a national title at UC, hell yeah, he would have a statue in the stadium and be named after him. Everything else, I don't think that's going to happen there unless if they were moved to a different conference. If they move to a Big 5 conference, UC would have an opportunity because I mean Cincinnati's a good city. You know, so you know it has some attractions that kids can look at and come through. But I think the thing that's sad
is the fact that the Big Ten took in places like Rutgers and Maryland when they could have taken a Cincinnati.
Yeah. You know, and I think you know it's still even the Pac-12 is still. You know, their rumblings with Larry Smith being the commissioner and them trying to woo some teams, other teams in and possibly change some teams. But I think with the Pac-12, there's going to be a shakeup because of the law, the California law. You know, that's going to change. That's going to change the dynamics of
everything.
Power 5. Because as an athlete, you're not going to come to Seattle or Oregon and you can go make money at any California college. So unless every state changes, it's going to change the recruiting landscape totally. So it's going to be tougher for schools to recruit against schools that are states that allow those kids to get paid.
Well, put it like this, Joe. I think when you ask if UC deserves to be in it, if they finish undefeated and they've won their conference, I think they deserve to be there before a Georgia or a Florida who has not won their conference. Those teams had a chance by playing Alabama. And the thing is, UCF, not saying they would have beat Alabama 3 years ago or whenever it was they were there, but they deserved the opportunity because they did beat 3 or 4 top 25 teams. But instead, we let Georgia, who had already blown their chance, go back in anyways. And the reason that's done is the way it's set up is the 4 conferences that have teams, or all 5 of those conferences, split the money from those 4 teams in that Final Four. If you have an outsider go in, they each lose $500,000 as a school.
Yeah.
That's why you never let the UC in.
Oh, it's definitely economics. It's I think that year UCF they had with Frost as leading. You had a good up and coming coach. They had a good nucleus of players. It'll be tough, man. When you look at those conferences, when you look at more than likely Ohio State's going to go undefeated. More than likely Alabama's going to go undefeated. So when you look at a Clemson who was down their quarterback and they had 3 defensive starters out of the game, and they lost in double overtime. More than likely their quarterback's going to come back. Those guys are.
Their quarterback's not going to make the difference there because
they had 3. They had the 2. They had the 2 starting linebackers, and they had either 1 or 2 starting defensive linemen out because of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
If you looked at
the issue was they only ran for 29 yards against Notre Dame, and Etienne was still there running the ball. The offensive line was intact. That was the difference in that game, and I don't think that Trevor Lawrence could have done a lot more than what the kid that was playing in front of him did.
So do you Trevor Lawrence and those 3 or 4 guys come back? Clemson runs the table, and you have Alabama undefeated, Ohio State undefeated. You're going to put Clemson is going to be in there. There's no way you're not going to put Clemson in there, And then now you look at if Notre Dame goes undefeated.
Notre Dame can't go undefeated because they would lose to Clemson.
Well, who? Notre Dame? I'm saying Notre Dame is still undefeated, right?
No, they can't be undefeated though. They can't both because Notre Dame and Clemson will play in the ACC championship game.
Okay, that's right. You have that, but then you going to say UC is better than the Big 12 champ, whoever that turns out.
Oh, no doubt. Have you seen the Big 12's a mess this year? Oklahoma's already lost 2 games.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting, man. You guys, it's hard. I'm used to UC losing 70-0 when I came here.
Oh, dude, I remember actually 1987 when I was at Indiana State. We played them at the Hoosier Dome and beat them 44-10. We were 1AA, they were 1A, and I remember even before that. Ty might remember this. You go back to like 1981, 82. They used to run stuff in the Cincinnati Enquirer, wondering if they should drop the program completely.
Yeah. They were pretty bad when I got there.
Different times now, boys. Different
time. I think because of Luke Fickell, he's getting better athletes. But I still don't. He's not getting SEC type athletes.
Getting better athletes than the Washington Huskies, though.
I doubt that. I doubt that.
Wait a second. Washington
Washington
can't even take enough vitamin D and C to stay healthy to play a game, Joe.
It wasn't us. We had no one in COVID. It was Cal. It's I'm always going to ride with my Huskies, man. That's my opinion. I don't think UC. They may have a year that they're up, but there's no way that they're
last year they were 11-2 and ended up ranked like 18th, Joe.
Yeah. So,
and their 2 losses with a team that ended up ranked 15th.
That played against each other.
Oh, you don't think they should? Wait a second. So Washington State If their only significant win is against USC, who's ranked 15th, it doesn't count then, right?
Not really, because they came to Husky Stadium and got smashed. So
This is the thing, though, Joe. You can only play who's on your schedule, and if
That's
you're
right.
the Cincinnati Bearcats, there's not too many SEC or Pac-12 schools that are going to come want to play you there, because that was proven last year when I believe UC smacked UCLA at Cincinnati.
Yeah, and UCLA was at the bottom of the Pac-12.
Oh, Joe, come on.
They were.
It doesn't matter where they were, Joe. It's still a Pac-12 school.
They finished last, or ninth, 10th.
I'm going to check this, Joe, just in case they were
UCLA
8th.
sucked.
I know they suck. Hey,
Second.
wait a second. UCLA beat Washington State last year, 67-63, though.
Yeah, that was both of them. That was awful. I think Washington State was up. They were up
Yeah, I remember watching
48 to 14 in the third quarter.
Yeah, I remember watching that game now.
That was one of the craziest games in college football history. But that was Mike Leach.
Well, ain't nothing wrong with a 67-63 game.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's what always happens at the Pac-12. They don't play defense there anymore.
We've never been in a 67-63 game, Mike, in Seattle. Never
Washington
happened.
hasn't?
No.
If I had more time, I would look that up, because I guarantee there's one somewhere in the last decade. But
yeah, it was against Baylor. I don't know, in that bowl game.
Was that the bowl game?
That was a bowl game with what's the quarterback they had? Baylor had.
That's when they had that coach that got in trouble for the players that had the orgy.
Yeah. That was one of those high scoring crazy games.
Was it RG3?
RG3, yeah. RG3.
Yeah, I remember that, because that was like 68-60 or something.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
That was the game I was trying to remember, but it didn't have to Google, since you admitted you were wrong to me.
It was one of those games.
All right, guys.
All right, brothers.
Final words from anybody?
Who day?
Yeah, who day, man, and hopefully, this could be a good Sunday, and this.
Hey, I think, since I got to go to Panama City starting next Tuesday, I think we ought to just do a show after the Bengals Steelers game.
Yeah, so I'll be in Cape. What is it? Cape Coral. That's where I'll be.
Cape Coral. I'm not sure where that's at.
That's not by Miami. It's Fort Myers up there in middle Florida somewhere.
Well, hell,
I don't think it's that far from you. I'll see.
Well, if you ain't doing nothing, come on over. We're playing the Oklahoma City Patriots at 4:00 on Thursday in Panama City Beach.
In Panama City.
And if anybody comes and says they listen to the Bengals show, I'll get you an autographed picture of Ty Robbins.
With the mullet back in the day.
With the mullet. All right. Good deal.
The mullet, the cut-off jean shorts, and the wife beater T-shirt.
Hey, everybody's got to have a style. That's what I'm saying.
And the feather earring, right?
Oh, wow.
Nah, let's not get carried away. This is Burt Reynolds.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Make sure you check out Manscaped. Promo code TGT20 for 20% off and free shipping to keep your balls happy. So for now, for Joe Kelly, Ty Robbins, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening and watching to The Grueling Truth.